Hey, Graham.
Hello, David.
How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I have a question for you.
Oh, I see. Not answering the question. Okay.
Do you want to...
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Should we start over? You want to do this again? Or okay. What did the fisherman say to the magician?
I don't know.
Pick a cod, any cod.
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's the joke you're going with?
Yep. I found it. It's a joke I found.
Oh, no.
Get it? Because
a cod.
Magicians.
A cod, yes.
When they're talking, he flipped it on him. You see how he flipped it on him?
No. I'm going to give that a 2. And
probably fair.
And I think that's what it deserved. But
2 out of 2, right? Like if the scoring was
let's move on. So David,
okay. Yes.
Someone recently broke into my house and stole all of my fruit.
Yeah, was it a fisherman?
I am peachless. It's really bad, but is it as bad as yours? This is like a race to the bottom of the barrel here. Peach barrel. Cod barrel.
You know what's happening right now?
No.
I'm speechless.
Oh, you're peachless.
Yeah, I'm speechless. Yeah.
Okay. I'm peachless.
Did you make that up?
I did not.
Did you get it from a child?
No.
It's a 2.
We tied.
Good job.
Yeah, we did.
High five.
We did it.
You know what? Enough of the nonsense. Let's get on with the nonsense.
Those are real bad.
Welcome back to Withywindle, a whimsical interactive show for kids who love stories, words, and grown-worthy jokes like the ones you just heard, featuring your favorite authors and illustrators. It's part book club, part game show. It's your weekly adventure through the wild world of wordplay. And because we are doing Norton Juster's The Phantom Tollbooth, it's extra wordplay-y. Extra wordplay-ish.
Yeah, extra wordplay-ish.
I'm David Kern.
And I am the Duke of Definition, the Minister of Meaning, the Earl of Essence, the Count of Connotation, and the Undersecretary of Understanding, Graham Pittman.
When did you get all those titles? When did you acquire those titles?
Just today.
Oh, well, what a day.
I know.
You acquired all those titles and you're recording with me.
And I found that terrible joke. It's a trifecta.
The trifecta of...
nonsense.
The trifecta of nonsense.
It was right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my swinging a baseball bat sound effect.
Oh, I thought it was a golf club. You could be playing baseball with the golf club.
True.
That'd be even more nonsensical.
That's true. We did all the nonsense we can get. We are here on the third episode of season 3 of Withywindle, and
the threeth
of Withywindle, and our guest this week is Graham Pittman.
His name is Remy Wilkins.
Remy Wilkins is our guest. He's the author of books like Hush Hush, that's his most recent book, and Strays was his first book, and we are going to be talking to him in a little bit. Of course, at the end of the show, we're going to give the answer to last week's riddle. We're going to give you a new riddle, as we do. And before that, we are going to talk about the Phantom Tollbooth a little bit. We're going to dive into some wordplay.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that kind of thing. Before that, we're going to do lazy words.
Yeah.
But before that, we got to do the segment we are on right now. Graham, what is the first segment of Withywindle?
Snack time.
Snack time. What are we eating this week?
So I brought some Zapp's brand Cajun Dill Gator Taters.
I feel like...
which are chips.
Gator Taters should be something we eat every episode.
Gator Taters.
I'm just going to... Sorry for the crinkling. I'm just going to eat one here. Oh, man.
I was going to ask what the verdict is, but I see by your face... it is higher than the jokes.
They're terrible. No, they're delicious.
They are delicious. Zapp's. If you're going to go for an old school brand of chips, go Zapp's. Don't go Utz. Go Zapp's.
Is this an ad read right now? Or
So
this is just us being enthusiastic about a snack we
I don't want to besmirch Utz. They're a fine
Utz ain't klutz.
Utz ain't klutz. They're a fine potato chip company. But they're no Zapp's.
Zapp's to the top of the chip rankings.
They're near the top.
Yeah, they
if
are.
not the presiding over the whole thing.
All the chip land.
They make just the most outlandish flavors that seem to be turned up to 11.
I don't know if that's a phrase that kids who are listening to this are going to understand.
Well, they better learn it because it's going to be Zapp's new catchphrase.
Chips turned up to 11.
Yes.
Zaps, get in touch with us. We will sell that to you for a small amount of money.
I was going to say let them have it. I like sell that to you
for a small amount of money.
Yeah.
Okay, we also are eating Haribo sour gummy bears. Now, a little preview of a future episode. Haribo gummy bears are going to show up on a future interview with an author.
Oh, interesting.
There was an author that when we interviewed this person, the interview's already ready to go.
Tell me more.
Said that they eat a lot of Haribo gummy bears.
Fascinating.
And so I thought, Haribo gummy bears. So I went and bought some.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I
don't know that. Can you consider it thinking when you think, I want Haribo gummy bears? Is that thought or what is that?
You're thinking with your belly.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was belly thought. Yeah.
Belly thoughts. Yeah. And since it is so close to Easter, I brought a special treat that I'm going to reveal. You haven't seen this yet. I'm going to slam it down on the desk.
Boom. Peeps.
Do you like Peeps?
Who does? I mean, I know people don't like Peeps. Yeah.
So Peeps are
once a year. I like them once a year.
Peeps are a confounding confection, I would say.
See, you're really earning that title tonight. Confounding confection. I don't know which title that falls under, but one of the titles you earned is clearly because you're using phrases like confounding confections.
Yes, that was probably the Minister of Meaning.
Right. Yeah,
that was that one.
Probably. Yeah.
They are a confounding confection to me, along with Necco wafers and candy corn. They are a candy or a treat I don't really like, but I will eat a lot of them. And it doesn't make sense to me. That's why it's confounding.
So one thing I'm confounded by right now is I'm standing here. And actually, I'm not standing here. I'm sitting here holding these Peeps.
Yes.
I count 4 Peeps.
Correct.
There's a yellow Peep, a green Peep, a pink Peep. Pink Peep is it?
You know what?
And a blue Peep.
You know what people would call that?
What?
Not enough Peeps.
Some people would. But I'm confused because it's like a peep pop.
Yeah.
Because there's just 4 Peeps squished onto a stick.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're looking at me for explanation?
I'm making an observation.
Okay, I don't have the explanation. I too made the observation and just let it go.
You just let it ride.
So I'm not exactly 100% sure why.
You let it ride like these 4 Peeps are riding the stick.
So they're
riding the rail.
They put 4 Peeps on a stick and are now selling it as some sort of marshmallow lollipop. I don't know.
It says on the packaging, Peep Pops. It's a Peeps Pop.
Sometimes companies just mix it up just for fun and doesn't need to.
You know, it is a marshmallow, so maybe the idea is it's like recreating a s'mores without chocolate. You stick it on the end of a stick and then.
No, I don't think you want
okay.
like that.
I don't know why I'm trying to come up with an explanation for Peep Pops. Peeps Pops.
Do you have a favorite Easter candy?
Starburst jelly beans.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I didn't even consider those.
Do you?
I like a Cadbury egg.
Cadbury's good, but the thing is, I don't like the Cadburys you get here as much as you can get like in other countries.
No, like the egg with the cream inside it. That's different.
Yeah, I think they're different here.
Well, I do. I think I like the little eggs too that have like a candy coating.
Yeah.
Those
my grandmother, there's this place up in Wisconsin. My grandmother used to send us every year these eggs that were like the size of our heads, and they were like fudge chocolate eggs.
Oh man,
and they were so good. And you would have to we would each get one. And it was basically the size of a football.
And you're saying she sent these across the ocean?
No. Well, she sent them from Wisconsin. I'm not sure about you. Do we need to talk about some geography here?
Maybe.
Unless she sent them from Wisconsin to Japan and then they came back here.
Well, I don't know how mail works.
I hadn't considered that. Well, sometime we'll have to do like a Mr. Rogers episode where we bring a mailman on to talk to us instead of an author.
That would be awesome.
Maybe there's an author who's also a mailman.
We'll find him.
If it's our new mission in life, besides eating these Peeps and these other snacks. So we're going to take a second here and we're going to eat some snacks. We're going to eat some Peep Pops, and then we'll be back to talk about some lazy words. All right, we are back with
lazy words.
Lazy words.
So as you'll recall, this is the segment where we identify a word every week that we think is lazy. Now, it doesn't have to do necessarily with laziness or anything like that. We think that whoever named this object, this particular word, was being kind of lazy.
They weren't working hard. They just
They just gave up.
Yeah, there was no creativity.
So far, we have done fireplace, which was last week.
Yeah.
And the time before that was...
Roller coaster!
You got it. We think those words were pretty lazy. But you guys came up with better
words. People emailed in what they thought was a better word for fireplace.
Oh, yes. So Bridget thinks it should be called shaky warmth.
Shaky. Oh, that's funny.
Luke thinks it should be called the heat bomb.
These are good. Much better than fireplace.
Ava thinks it should be called the warmth box.
Again, just better.
Caleb thinks it should be called the burning broom because the fire kind of looks like the broom at the bottom of it, only turned upside down.
Okay, that's fun. These kids are creative. And remember, if you want to send in a suggestion for a future lazy word, such as the word today, which Graham's going to share with us in just a second, then you can email us at podcast@goldberrybooks.com. Once again, that is podcasts, podcasts, at goldberrybooks.com. Graham, what is this week's lazy word?
This week's is a good one. All right.
You mean because it's lazy?
It's so
extra lazy?
It's so lazy.
What is it?
Okay, David, let's say you're outside walking and it's nighttime.
I do this once a year.
You have your annual nighttime walk?
I have an annual nighttime walk.
Oh, the night walk.
The night walk, yeah. Doesn't everyone have an annual night walk?
Where you blindfold yourself as well and walk into the woods.
Extra dark, yes. Yeah.
Just to see where you'll end up.
Right.
If you were to take that...
I'm confused why you seem confused about this.
No, I was just remembering.
Okay.
So if you were to take that blindfold off...
Yes.
And stare up at the sky...
Yes.
You would not see a nice, blue sky with clouds.
Yeah.
You would be looking into what?
The night sky?
Yes, but what are you seeing?
The darkness? Nothing?
Yes. What is the big darkness with all the stars? What is that called? Where maybe a rocket ship might zoom into these...
Space.
There it is.
The lazy word is space.
So
this is a great point.
The unexplored, incredible, unimaginable heavens up there, we have decided to call space. Just another, space. It's not here, but it's a space that's up there. I find this word very lazy and kind of insulting.
It's just,
and I don't know.
Like what is it? It's just space. I don't know.
It's not inner space. Let's call it outer space. There's got to be a better word for the incredible thing that includes our solar system, our galaxy, all the galaxy, the whole universe up there that we see. We just call it space.
It's just space.
It's just some space.
It's like a closet. I don't know.
Just some space.
You throw something in the corner.
You want to workshop some new words, some new titles we might bestow on this wonderful, incredible, magnificent thing.
Okay, so
what about Sparkle Dark?
Sparkle Dark.
That's a little belittling as well.
Even Star House is better than
even Star House,
space. Yeah. I think that probably every week I'm just going to say something like, can the word just be flibbermagosh or something like that?
It could be.
That's probably still going to be better than whatever the lazy word is.
It's better than space.
So the thing about space is there's so much out there.
There's a lot of space.
So there's a lot of space out there.
Which is probably what somebody was thinking when they decided to call it space.
Star range.
The star range? That's good.
Because you got the stars, you got the planets, you got asteroids.
Or you could go
black holes.
Or you could go mysterious and just say the uninhabitable zone.
Oh.
Anyway.
The end zone.
The end zone.
The edge.
Children's. Kids. Children's
is already, there's two plurals in the word children's.
I know.
You can just go with children.
I was trying to be funny.
Oh, okay.
But thanks for pointing that out.
Sorry.
You have a better word than space. Tell us what we should call.
I'm not sure they can do better in Sparkle Dark, but give it a chance. Give it a try.
They can. Yeah. They can. Tell us what you would call the magnificent heavens above that include all of everything.
include
But we've decided to
all
call
of this stuff. It's just the space where we put all the stuff. All right, so podcast at goldberrybooks.com is where you can send in your suggestions for something better than space.
You've said the email twice so far.
Should I not have done that?
That's great. I didn't know you knew it.
Oh, okay. Well, with that, we've come to the end of Lazy Words, which brings us to... it's going to bring us to book time.
You don't have to keep being lazy.
Oh, I don't have to?
No.
Okay, so when that segment's over, I can stop being lazy?
Correct.
My parents should have told me that when I was like 10.
I don't think they knew about this segment, but let's move on.
Okay, all right.
Book time.
Book time. All right, well, we are back. We have eaten all of the Peeps Pops. We've eaten a lot of the Gator Taters, and it is time for book time. This is the time when we talk about Norton Juster's The Phantom Tollbooth. Graham, how are you feeling about The Phantom Tollbooth?
Hey, David.
Yeah?
Did you know
Oh, boy.
that we have a special sponsor
We do?
for this specific segment?
Just for this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that. This is a surprise to me too, guys.
Are you ready to hear it?
I would love to hear it. I'm on the edge of my seat.
We all know the feeling.
Which one?
That feeling of confusion.
Oh, yeah, I definitely know that.
Is what I found on the ground a stick, or is it something else entirely? I know it might look like a stick and feel like a stick and smell like a stick and taste like a stick.
Okay.
But how can you be sure?
I always knew it. I knew you ate sticks. I knew it.
How can you be sure? No, this is not me. This is the ad read. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay. But I still knew it.
So how can you be sure? And how embarrassing would it be if you showed somebody this cool stick you found, but it turns out it was just a dried up earthworm the whole time?
Given that you're eating it, that'd be pretty weird.
Well, wonder no longer. From the makers of Hamster Garage comes Certified Stick. Send us whatever bric-a-brac you find, and we will confirm whether or not it is indeed a stick. We put it through a rigorous 100-point inspection before it gets our stamp of approval. Walking sticks, brooms, pickup sticks, normal sticks, we certify them all.
What about drumsticks?
Yeah, drumsticks.
What about breadsticks?
Oh, yeah.
What about pretzel sticks?
Pretzel stick, they'll do it.
Really?
Just
literally any kind of stick.
any stick, they'll certify. That's a 100-point inspection, it says on this piece of paper.
Oh, wow.
Just listen to this satisfied customer.
Okay.
Turns out it was a stick.
Who said it though?
Joshua.
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 Jerry.
I forgot. Yeah, thanks. I forgot to read the name. Not convinced? Here's another one. When I was in the Ozarks, I found this stick, but wasn't quite sure it was a stick. So I sent it to Certified Stick, and it turns out it was my own arm. Thanks, Certified Stick. That one's anonymous.
By anonymous, you mean yourself?
Moving on. Ready to get your stickish objects certified?
I'm gonna keep this like when I'm walking in the woods and night walk.
Yeah.
I might need this.
Are you ready to get?
I'm ready. How do I do it?
Just send your stick to the address on the screen via Pony Express, Pigeon Express, or Email Express today. Is it expensive? Yes. Is it worth it?
What screen? It's a podcast.
But can't you just tell what a stick is by common sense, you ask? Be quiet, Jeffrey. Remember, if it's not a certified stick, it could be anything.
I can just imagine the certified stick people in a meeting writing that ad, and Jeffrey kept interjecting and saying what he said there, and they kicked him out. They just said, "Be quiet, Jeffrey."
Threw him out the window.
Out the window? First floor, or like what's the scenario here?
It's a stick building, so probably they didn't build too high.
Yeah, true. It's probably gonna blow away.
Floor. I like that tagline at the end. Remember, if it's not a certified stick, could be anything. It's kind of ominous.
It's true. It's true. Could be a black hole.
So thank you to Certified Stick for sponsoring this segment.
So they also are the creators of Hamster Garage?
Yeah.
You know what I like
They
about
get around.
them? that because hamsters go on wheels? Was
There you go.
was that a hamster joke? So the thing that I like about them is that they really try things. Like they're trying a variety of interesting products.
And they have the budget to
To just do whatever they want. Yeah. I do appreciate that too.
So there must be selling a few.
I know.
I've got sticks all over my house. I'd love to get them certified, you know. So when people come over, they're like, "Is that a stick or what is that?" And be like, "Look at the stamp on it."
Right. And sometimes you might want to build a fire.
Yeah.
And you don't want to just like throw anything in the fire. You don't want to throw certified sticks.
Yeah, if I throw in something I think is a stick,
Like your arm.
yeah, or if something that sounds like stick, but it turns out to be a brick. Oh, I'm in trouble. I just threw a brick into a fire.
Or like a jar of gasoline.
Yeah, I've sent so many jars of things into certified stick.
How long did it take them to get back to you?
It's 7 to 12 months.
Oh, well,
Worth the wait.
It's a 100-point certification process. It's very, very rigorous, very expensive. Okay, book time. It's time to talk about The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster. We're talking about chapters 3 and 4, 3rd and 4th chapters. Graham, what are these chapters called?
Chapter 3 is called Welcome to Dictionopolis. And the 4th is called Confusion in the Marketplace.
Do you want to give a quick, just a brief summary of what happens in these two chapters? Because then I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
That I think would is appropriate for this little podcast that we do here.
Sure. So Milo is continuing on his journey. We saw in the last chapter 2, that he picked up the watchdog. And the watchdog helped him get out of the doldrums because Milo had to start thinking. And then so they're on their way to Dictionopolis. But before that, he learns why the watchdog... or how the watchdog got his name, which is Talk, even though he ticks.
But his brother was named Talk.
Yeah.
Or Tick, even though he talks.
Yeah, so confusing. And so they're on the way to Dictionopolis, and they get there, and Milo is just kind of amazed, looking around, seeing all sorts of strange things, like the gateman, who demands a reason for him to enter, and Milo doesn't have a reason, so he's like, well, do you have an excuse, or, what?
And then he goes and gets him a reason.
Goes and gets him a reason, which is, why not?
Why not?
Why not?
And
I like that the why not's on like a little medallion that he puts
around his neck, yeah.
Like, now you can go in. And then in there, he meets, as we've already kind of introduced earlier, the Duke of Definition, the Minister of Meaning.
He met you?
It really wasn't me. It was these guys.
Oh, you were...
Yeah, who all kind of say the same thing, but use different words.
What's that called? Do you know what that's called? A synonym.
Oh. I did know that. So he's a little perplexed at all this, and the watchdog just seems kind of harumphed at all this. He doesn't
What's a good synonym for harumphed?
Nonplussed.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
What a word. Let's just end the show with that. That's a great word.
Yeah, nonplussed is a good word. And then they make it to the marketplace, and inside the marketplace, it's a
place where you can buy words.
A place where you can buy words. And again, Milo's kind of digging it. He's liking all of this. And he sees some words he really wants, like quagmire and flabbergast and upholstery. But he realizes he doesn't have enough money to buy them, so he kind of has to leave them there. And then there's like a do-it-yourself bin of words, a bin of letters to make your own words, which are a little cheaper, but even then he can't really buy them. And again... And
then there's the spelling bee.
Talk is like, he's just not impressed. And the spelling bee comes, and then the... what's the bug's name? Everybody yell it at me.
Humbug.
Oh, that's right.
Bah, humbug.
The humbug comes, and the humbug and the spelling bee get into a fight. And they knock over lots of things inside the marketplace, and that is where the chapter ends.
The bug sprawled untidily on a mound of squash letters and Talk. His alarm, ringing persistently, was buried under a pile of words.
It's just chaos.
Okay, so I've got a question for you. At the end of this chapter, Talk is buried under a pile of words.
Alarm blaring.
if you were buried under a pile of words, what words would you least want to be buried under?
Oh, this is good. Okay, so I'm immediately breaking it down into letters.
Okay.
So the sharpest letter that I could think of would kind of probably be the X.
X, Z, Q.
Well, the Q's got the round, like if a Q landed on you upside down.
That's true, you'd be fine. You just have to avoid the little.
If an
curly
X
Q.
landed any way,
That's
you'd
true.
be getting 2 points.
That's true.
So if a lot of X words, yeah.
T is kind of like would be a tough one
T
too.
would be rough. Unless all these words were cursive,
Then that does change things.
that changes things.
Softens the edges.
All right, what words would you not want to be buried under?
Extraterrestrial.
See, X's,
L,
T's.
X's,
yeah.
T's, even the S's potentially. And then ubiquitous was one I thought of.
Yeah.
There's a Q there, so if it's the right
Ubiquitous.
you get it just depends on. See, here's the thing: the U and the Q are sharp on different ends. So one way or the other, unless they all get unless you get lucky, you're getting poked by one of them. And then also, I imagine U's and Q's and B's would be heavy letters.
Oh, I agree with that. You know what the best words to be buried under might be? Onomatopoeias. Now, hear me out.
Go on.
Hear me out. Crash and bang and smash and
Buzz.
those would hurt, I feel like. But they would create such like a commotion that people would notice that you're buried over there.
That's a great.
Like it'd be very loud.
It's true. You'd want to be rescued because if you don't have an alarm like talk, then no
Yeah.
one would know like that you're buried under all these letters. This is true. What onomatopoeia? We should just review what that is, like for the kids.
Onomatopoeia is a word where the sounds of the word almost define the word.
Buzz.
Smash.
It's the word smash sounds like smash.
Sounds like you're smashing something.
Smashing things together. You're
Yelp?
smashing. Yelp.
Yoink.
Yoink. Okay, but this chapter also got me thinking not just about what words I'd least want to be buried under, but also what. So he has to buy words, right?
Well, that seems to be the point of the word market, yes.
What are your favorite words? Like you go into a word market, what are the words you're looking for first? What are some of your favorite words just in the English language? Or I suppose you could do it in a different language if you want.
Well, he sees quagmire, flabbergast, and upholstery, and those are 3 strong contenders. But have you heard of the word nonplussed?
No, tell me more.
Good word. Strong word. I would go for nonplussed. I would probably go for maybe some pronouns first. So, like if you're buying words, you kind of need to be able to talk about yourself and other people with the words.
Like
so
you.
grab those.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah.
And then maybe some simple verbs and nouns.
You know, one
See,
word.
I changed your question.
I like this a lot. This word a lot. I use it a lot. Too much probably. It's the word ostensibly or ostensible.
Ostensible. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that word a lot. I don't know why.
What about balderdash?
Balderdash is a great word. I mean, how can you not like the word balderdash?
What about
People who don't, you know what I say to people who don't like the word balderdash?
balderdash?
You're dumb.
What about certified? Ratified.
What about
Ratified's a
stick?
good word. Peeps. Zaps. Those both onomatopoeia brands.
That's true. We should start a candy called onomatopoeia. Can you imagine the packaging? And every candy in it, or whatever the thing is a letter. It's in the shape of a letter, a different letter, like animal crackers, but letters.
This is great. Yeah.
Anything else that you liked in this book? Like, what are you enjoying about this book so far through 4 chapters?
I like that. The wordplay is great. The figurative language is great. And also, I like that we're getting a sense of the characters. So, like, Milo went through, met the weatherman first, kind of left the weatherman. He met the chameleon people and left them. But, like, now, like, Talk has kind of stayed with him for a little bit of the story. Mm-hmm. And you see a little bit of his personality. He seems kind of wise, or at least, like, discerning in a way like a lot of the other characters aren't.
And you're talking about Talk.
Yeah, about Talk. And also at the end of chapter 3, Milo says, I never knew words could be so confusing. And he scratches Talk's ear, and Talk says, "Only when you use a lot to say a little," answered Talk. And I wonder if that's also why he's nonplussed in the word market, just seeing people buying as many words as they can and all this stuff. And
you don't need all these words. Yeah.
That's maybe he thinks they're wasting time, and we know Talk doesn't like that.
That's true. He's very concerned about wasting time. Anything
jump out at you in these chapters?
Well, a pile of words is the thing seems to be jumping out. The stuff on time actually was pretty interesting. Because, it is true that we only have so much time here on this earth, not to get into anything too dark. So what are you doing listening to this podcast? But it's a good reminder that, not to make it like a moral of the story, but how we use our time matters and like the words that we use matter.
Yeah, and
be conscious of those things.
And that seems like it would be very applicable to Milo, who before he came into this place was not conscious of much at all. He
was the kind of person who would have been friends with the people who came up with lazy words.
One thing I'm really liking this book, and it's kind of like I read a lot. You read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read. I don't read a lot of books like this, and I don't know what "like this" means.
Blue books,
but it kind of pulls me out, and it's a little jarring from like my normal reading. It reminds me a little bit of Alice in Wonderland.
Oh yeah.
And it reminds me a little bit of Pilgrim's Progress. And there was one more I was thinking of too, and I was like, I don't actually know what this kind of genre is called. It's not quite allegory. It's a quest in kind of a strange land.
Yeah, there's a story to it, but it's still it's there's like a fantastical element to it.
It's almost like a bit of nonsense.
No wonder we're doing it on this podcast. Now it makes sense.
Is this the patron book of Withywindle?
The patron book of Withywindle. That's a great question. We should think about that. I think it may have to be on the short list of patron books of Withywindle. Well, Graham, this brings us to the end of book time.
Let's interview some authors.
Let's do it. All right, this week's guest is Remy Wilkins. Remy Wilkins is a guy. He is a guy who writes books. Books like Strays and Hush Hush, which is his newest one. He is a really fun guy to talk to. He lives out in Idaho. His bio says that he was born on one side of the Mississippi River and lives on the other, which makes me wonder if he just was born one side, got on a raft and went to the other. Like, do you think that's
what I'm taking from this?
He just really likes the Mississippi River, but he didn't like that side of the Mississippi River, so he went across. Or he waited till it was frozen and then walked across.
Whoa. Call back to an old riddle there.
Exactly. He is a teacher in Louisiana, and he also has 5 boys, and his bio here says that they like to raise a ruckus.
I believe him.
Which sounds about right. It doesn't take 5 boys to raise a ruckus, but I can't imagine the ruckus that 5 boys raise.
Very ruckusy. A lot of onomatopoeias.
Ruckus. The most ruckus of ruckus. So we had a great time chatting with Remy Wilkins. Would you like to give, since this is kind of like the spirit of this episode with this book, would you like to give one word to describe our conversation with Remy Wilkins that is not wonderful, fun, or onomatopoeia?
Anti-rantipole.
Anti-rantipole. So that was a word on one of our interviews once. I can't believe that came to mind immediately. Anti-rantipole. So rantipole was the word which meant a wild or reckless person. So you're saying that he is the antithesis, the opposite of a wild, reckless person, at least in the conversation.
Semi-anti-rantipole.
There we go. I feel better about that now. Well, I think that means we had a great time chatting with Remy Wilkins.
We did.
Without further ado then, before this episode gets too rantipole, here is our conversation with Mr. Remy Wilkins. All right, we are here with author Remy Wilkins. Remy, thank you so much for coming on the show, for answering questions from the kids, maybe a few from us, and generally, allowing yourself to be put through the ringer here on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
That's what they all say at the beginning of the show.
I might even be regretting to be here at this point, too.
Yeah, it won't take long. It will not take long. Speaking of which, we always start with the same question. Back in the very first episode, we were asked a question that seemed so important that we have to ask it of every guest at the beginning of every interview. Are you ready for the most important question you are going to be asked on this podcast?
Yes, sir.
Cheetos or Doritos?
Oh, man. I Cheetos, but I don't like to touch them. So I eat them with chopsticks. So,
or at least you didn't say a fork.
No forks. I'm not a sociopath.
So let's take a step back.
Okay.
You like Cheetos, but you don't like the powdery texture.
I would, if there are Cheetos in front of me and a bowl of Doritos, I would, if chopsticks are readily available, eat the Cheetos.
So
yes.
what about you won't eat Doritos either way, chopsticks or otherwise?
Well, I'm not, I'm not opposed to Doritos, but if I'm picking, I would go Cheetos every time.
I think picking is exactly what you'd be doing when you're picking up a Cheeto with a chopstick.
This is incredible. I think we need to savor this.
The fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like the dust. It's too much for me.
So what other foods that do you eat with chopsticks because of their textures? Besides like things you're supposed to eat, chopstick noodles.
Yeah, I appropriately use chopsticks as well. But no, I don't really think. I think it's just Cheetos that require chopsticks. But I hate the smell of peanut butter on my hands. Like my only mutant ability is to smell everything on my hands, no matter how many times I wash them. It's not a great power. So I try not to touch Cheetos. I try not to touch peanut butter. I'm weird about that. So, but after that, I'm totally normal.
Okay. Yeah. Says everybody. So you're cooking. Do you cook?
No, I have to say no. Otherwise, my wife will be upset.
I'm going to be
fed my family for a week, and they've all survived.
You have at least cooked one thing in the past.
Yes.
Yep. Got it.
It would be difficult to be someone who cooks regularly and like really be bothered by when the smells of things are in your hands. That would be a challenge.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't say I cook, because raw chicken, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to eat after dealing with certain raw foods.
Fair. Oh,
I'm right there with you, Remy.
Yeah,
I agree.
Weirdly, Graham also eats Cheetos with chopsticks.
I will now. You're blowing my mind.
It's a great life hack, and it also slows you down. Otherwise, you eat way too many.
Yeah,
Cheetos.
and I mean they have to be chopsticks. I feel like you could just do sticks or pencils. Like
I'm not a barbarian. What is this?
Come on, Graham.
Oh, sorry.
Cheetos with chopsticks, though, is needs to be the name of like a sonnet or a story or something.
All right, we'll work on that.
So, okay, are you a cookies or cake person?
I mean, I eat things. I do like cookies. My thing with cookies is they must be cooked. My wife will frequently make, she calls them cookies, but they're actually ookies because they're just chocolate and oatmeal or peanut butter. And it's that you put them on the wax paper and let them.
Oh, yeah.
Congeal. I hate ookies. Well, I don't hate them. I mean, again, it's still chocolate and sugar and it's fine, but they're not cookies.
Yeah.
So I want cooked. So that's my thing on cookies.
So just raw things in general don't seem super desirable for you.
Yeah, I don't want to touch those things. Maybe I should use chopsticks for ookies. That's the new resolution.
It might not be firm enough though.
That's the problem.
It might be a little bit gloopy when you pick it up. It just kind of like gravity would take over.
Yeah. I like the brownie edges. The inside. I would eat entirely the edge and be totally happy.
Have you considered just eating cake?
I like that crisp. I like that crunch.
Oh, okay.
There's very few crunchy cakes.
So, Remy, when you are making toast, is it very dark brown?
Yeah, my children say I burn the toast when it is, toasted. So
when it
I
is
guess so.
properly toasted.
It's toasted.
We're
right.
on the same wavelength here.
Yeah.
I'm laughing, so now I'm coughing. So, okay, are you a coffee or a tea guy?
Again, I'll drink both, but I do drink a lot of coffee. I teach. That's one of the benefits is the coffee station is always there for me. So I take advantage.
Have you tried coffee with chopsticks yet?
No, it hasn't. I don't have to touch it anymore. I used to work in a coffee shop,
Yeah.
and I grew to hate that. I would take a shower, and I could smell fresh coffee as I get the coffee grinds washing off me. I did not enjoy that. But.
Yep.
Yeah.
David also used to work at a coffee shop.
I worked in a coffee shop for about 3 or 4 years in college, and by the time I was done, all I associated the smells and tastes of coffee with was like 6 a.m. and people who were annoying. And so it took me like 10 years to get to the point where I was like, coffee is like, like really excited about coffee again.
Yeah. So you're a tea guy? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, actually, I'm back to coffee.
Okay.
I regularly try it with chopsticks. Just lick it off the chopstick. So, okay, in general, though,
it takes David a very long time to get through a cup of coffee.
Well, that's just a fact anyway. But okay, last food question here, at least planned food question.
Okay.
Do you prefer savory food or sweet food?
I go savory. I mean, I like a treat. I'm Southern. A meal is not complete until you've had dessert. But frequently, that overly sugar will cause me to want to eat a piece of toast or pickle or something. I don't know. I can't ever stop with just sugar. So I guess that makes me more savory guy.
Yeah, I guess so. But could you combine the two and then just cut out a step
and put it on a chopstick and just have it like a kebab? I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. Pickle, skittle, pickle, skittle.
There we go. Pickle flavored Skittles. Just cut it all out.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's give Remy an opportunity here to talk a little bit about his newest book, which I believe came out in December. Is that right, Remy?
That's correct. It was delayed from by all the hijinks of 2020, but it was
of course
was released within 2021.
Of course. So, when we have authors on, we like to give them a chance to just kind of give an elevator pitch or a little synopsis of what their newest book is or what they're working on. And so yours is Hush Hush.
Hush Hush. It's a story of a girl that moves to a island in the Mississippi River. She moves in with her grandmother. She's has trouble making friends. She has an invisible friend. And through some mysterious circumstances, I guess I should say, a mysterious character tells her that he can make her invisible friend real. And this leads to all sorts of problems. And as she uncovers a darker secret. I'm not great at selling my book, but that might be the best I've ever done on pitching it. I usually just make a hash of it.
I heard the word mystery. I think I heard secret. That's
island?
Pretty much, what do we need more?
An island in the Mississippi River. Yes.
Imaginary friend.
Imaginary
or at least
friend.
invisible.
So, if I'm giving my log line, it's invisible friends meets body snatchers. So that's the single sentence pitch.
Where'd you get this idea from?
I had a conversation with one of my good friends, Joshua Gibbs, back in the day. I think y'all know of
his good buddy
Joshua.
of ours.
Yeah. He and I were talking about invisible friends, and I think we both had invisible friends. And he made a comment about how he thinks invisible friends are carving out a little memory hole for your future spouse, right? So it was that was a conversation we had in college, and so I had always kind of reflected on it, and this story kind of popped out from that.
How long did it take you to write?
It took me 2 years. So I teach. So I have the summers off. For a time, I was working with my father-in-law. He's a farmer. But after I worked 7 summers and paid off my wife, he hired skilled labor. So I had to find something to fill my time. So I started writing novels in the summer. I had just finished Strays, which is my first novel. And so I just jumped in that next summer. And, my process is to write it and then toward the end discover a enormous flaw in the whole story. So I have to fall into a dark depression over Christmas and patch it up. And then the next summer I finish it. That happened with both Strays and Hush Hush, where I thought I had everything planned out and get writing it. And then I realized, oh no, this thing I overlooked doesn't make any sense. So it took 2 summers. And then I rewrote it probably 4 other times, polishing and switching some things around. And I even did it because it was supposed to come out, I think, in the spring of 2020 or the summer of 2020. And then things got derailed in the publishing industry. So I took that opportunity, again, suggested by my editors, to rework it again. So I ended up doing that last year and got it into them the summer of last year.
Okay.
And just the backlog took it until December before it came out.
Yeah.
So 3 summers to write it, but that's a lot of time in between thinking and mulling. I haven't been able to write all that much during the school year. It's just too draining.
Yeah.
And so I mostly reserve the writing for the spring or the summer rather.
Who do you see as the ideal age group for your book? Like, it's for kids, but who's the ideal audience person?
Well, so I wrote these. Let's see. Both Strays and Hush Hush were close to 6 years ago when I finished the manuscript. Again, they were dramatically different before they saw print. But I was just writing for my sons. I have 5 boys, and both Strays and Hush Hush started out as just a little fairy tale. I started telling my kids kind of simple, silly stories as they went to bed. This was before they were ready to have me read to them. So once they hit that age, I started reading Narnia and Series of Unfortunate Events and some of the other classic kids classics that I missed, as well as obviously bringing in the ones that I love. Tolkien, my dad read that to us, so I started reading to them. But I still had a couple of those stories that I told them. And so that's when I had that summer to write. I took one of them and I called it young adults, but in the time that I finished the novel, middle grade had become a genre, and apparently the driving factor in middle grade is the age of the protagonist, and so my protagonist was younger, so it fit into middle grade. Which then caused a bunch of moms to say that my book was way too scary. Well, Strays was way too scary for middle grade, but it's because I wasn't writing for middle grade. I was writing for my boys, and they thought it was great. They didn't think it was too scary. But again, my boys are probably different from a lot of people. So I wasn't aiming particularly for anything aside from just hitting where my boys were.
Yeah.
Well, that leads really well into one of the questions we got sent in, which is, how would you describe the types of stories that you tell?
Well, I mean, it's the sort of stories that I wanted. I wanted something that had a particular flavor. So I guess they were Southern. Both Strays and Hush Hush are set in areas that I grew up in. I was born in Mississippi, so the Mississippi River was a constant. I didn't visit it necessarily, but it was just a constant presence in my imagination. And then Strays is set in Alabama, where my grandmother lived. So having that Southern setting for the kids' stories, there's a spiritual component to it as well. I mean, both my first two books have that beyond the physical threat that it wasn't a particular conscious decision to think, oh, I need to have or I want to have that as the bad guys, but my imagination does tend to slant to villains that are bigger than just physical threats. So both Strays and Hush Hush draw on that side of my imagination.
What kind of books were you reading when you were like a kid that inspired you to become a writer? Like, were they the same kind of books, or were you mainly reading like historical fiction, but somehow became a writer of, something else?
Yeah, I mean, again, Dad read the Lord of the Rings to us, Narnia. George MacDonald was a author that I enjoyed. So a lot of fantasy growing up, and then I started reading science fiction. So I got into the Star Wars books when those started coming out in the mid '90s. So my reading was all over the children's literature into sci-fi as I grew a little bit older.
Do you have a favorite thing to read now to your kids?
Yeah, I mean,
besides your own books.
Yeah, I have enjoyed reading the things that I love to them. So George MacDonald and Tolkien, and we read Harry Potter. I didn't read it when it was coming out. That was when I was working at the coffee shop, and so I would see people come in with these books. So and obviously I was aware of the cultural significance of Harry Potter. I didn't read them until my own boys were ready for them. So we read that and Series of Unfortunate Events, which I also really loved. So it's kind of been a way of me keeping up with the children's literature, as well as introducing the favorites that I had that my dad read to me. So that's how I've approached it. There's been no master plan. If someone says, "Oh, you should read this book, your kids will like it," I'll throw it in the pile, and whatever strikes my fancy when we finish one, we read that next. So.
When you're pulling a book off the shelf, do you use chopsticks?
No, I love the feel of books and the smell of books.
Okay, all right.
Not a problem.
Do you read to your kids all at once, like all 5 of them together?
Well, I fired my oldest boy, so I have a 18-year-old now and a 16-year-old. And I was reading The Lord of the Rings. We had made it halfway through The Return of the King, but because of their lives are getting busier, we were only reading once a week, and so it was just taking forever. And at that point, I had some younger kids, and a couple of them weren't quite ready for Tolkien, so I fired them. I said, "You're on your own now," and I started reading to the younger kids. So, which is fun. One of them was around when I read Strays way back in the day. This was printed out version, and I'm marking it up to in a rewrite, which would annoy the boys. They wanted me to read the story, and I'm crossing things out. But he was there for that. But he mostly fell asleep, so he doesn't. Well, he's since read it on his own.
That must have been encouring.
Right. Well, he was 3.
Oh, okay. But design then.
Yeah. Well, so then he's asked if we can read it again. So that's fun. Okay. And I've got 2 more that are younger, so they weren't around for the first reading. So we hadn't done it yet, but I'll probably read them my books at some point. But there's so much to get through. I don't want to just capitalize just because it's mine.
Yeah.
I did write it for them, so I will read it, and I won't feel bad about it. That was for them, so
yeah, it makes sense.
Happy to do it for them.
So, Remy, we got an interesting question from Ezra, and it's about process.
Mm.
He asks, can authors be surprised by their books?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been fascinated by the process of writing and setting up a character and getting a feel for who they are, and then seeing what happens when you set them down in various settings. I've had characters that I had an idea for where they should go and what should happen to them, and they just won't fit in that path, and they diverge. I came across a letter from Tolkien. Someone wrote in and asked, why did Gandalf do this or that? And he wrote back and said, I don't know. I'll read and find out. And so he read through his books and then wrote back saying something like, okay, here's what I think Gandalf was doing or saying. And I love that secondary authorship, that you're submissive to the characters, where they're given a life, and it's not they're not manhandled. They become these real figures that you submit to as an author. So definitely, I've had that experience where characters have grown bigger than I imagined, and do things that mess up things later on in the book. So it's exciting and exhilarating and all the rest to have that happen.
I love that idea of like having to consult a character that you've made.
Yeah.
Like to figure out what he's going to do. He needs to have his input.
That rounded. I mean, we don't even act consistent and logical in every situation. So if an author were to have a character that's just this robotic, where everything he does is considered and measured and exactly consistent with all of his previous decisions, it would be boring. It wouldn't be real to us to even see that. So having that submissive attitude toward your characters, where they're just bigger than your assumptions, bigger than your plans for them, I think that makes it all the more dynamic.
Hey, speaking of being submissive, our mutual friend Sean Johnson asked, when are you going to come visit him?
This summer. I hear he is moving back to Pensacola. And so, yeah, he's fixing something amazing for me, I know, and I look forward to eating it.
That is true. The man can cook. The man can cook.
He is not afraid to touch some Cheetos. Let me tell you.
No, that is definitely he not eating Cheetos with chopsticks. Well, Graham, I think we're to that point in the interview here where you got we got a special quiz, right?
We have a quiz.
Oh,
it's a very serious quiz. Actually, David's not seen this quiz.
I have not.
So, David, why don't you set up what this quiz is about?
It's a quiz. It's a quiz about quantum physics.
Good. Yes, that's my expertise.
The Seventh Amendment and the relationship between the North Carolina cardinal and the dogwood tree.
All right. These are all things I majored on.
So Graham's got questions on things related to those topics.
It's uncanny how close you were to none of what the quiz is about.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, Remy, your book is entitled Hush Hush. So this is a Hush Hush quiz, but it is not a quiz where we quiz the author about his own book. This is a quiz about very quiet things. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we're going to do the whole quiz and read hushed
whispering everything.
Hushed.
Which one of these is the quietest?
Is it actually a quiz where halfway through each question I go, hush?
No, please don't do that. You throw me off my rhythm.
Sorry.
Which you already have. Question number 1. Which of these things is the quietest? A child who has just sneaked a snack and does not want to be found. That's option A. Option B, a feather alighting on a cotton ball. Option C, the sound the audience made after I did my stand-up routine in a particularly unpleasant dream in 2014.
The correct answer is actually D, the house in which the witch has stopped dancing. That's the quietest thing. That's an old folklore poem. It can't be the child because I've been that child. And
and you get found.
You think now if you had said what feels the quietest, or to the child, that is definitely ultra silent, but it's not. And having 5 boys, I've heard how loud that activity can be. But yeah, I'm going to go with the cotton ball and the feather. It's a lovely image, regardless of whether it's true.
That answer is acceptable.
Yeah.
Question number 2. This is where it starts to heat up.
I want to hear more about Graham's stand-up, though.
No, this you don't, and you won't be able to because the silence was deafening.
Oh, okay.
Question number 2 is about snails. Snails, that shelled gastropod and symbol of lethargy, which produces no audible sounds. One of the few animals. Question: what's the deal with that, and what are they hiding? Go.
Man, I don't know if you've seen any medieval manuscripts. Snails are all over, and they're very vicious. I mean, they're constantly attacking these poor monks. So, I mean, clearly they have dark secrets.
This is such a good point. I feel like this has not been talked about enough.
I know.
For hundreds of years, they've gotten away with it.
So, and do you think maybe they've been beaten into such submission that they're just clandestinely?
I mean, we clearly owe. Yeah, we clearly owe the medievals a great debt for having domesticated the terrible snails.
You know, I've never thought about it this way. In fact, I've never thought about this at all. But it's a great point.
Question 3. This is actually a real one. The quietest place on Earth, is in an echoic chamber at Orfield Laboratories in Minnesota. And so it's a specialized room that is so silent, the background noise is actually measured in negative decibels. Okay, what is the longest?
It's actively taking sounds out of your ear. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the longest amount of time anybody's lasted inside this room?
Oh, I mean, it can't be more than 5 minutes.
Here's your multiple choice.
Oh, I get this was
A, 11 hours.
No, there's no way.
B, 23 seconds, or C, 45 minutes.
Oh man, I mean, 45 minutes would be a long, unless you're napping. It'd be a great place to nap. So if it's a mom, it would easily be 45. But yeah, I don't know. It makes me want to say the 23 seconds. Is that, or did someone make it 45 minutes?
Are you leaning to option C?
I'm going to go. Was it 45 minutes? I'm going to go with 45 minutes. If you're, or no, you're tricking me. The 23 seconds.
I'm not tricking you. It's 45 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, you were looking at me, and I was throwing you off.
Okay.
But you were correct, and I bet a mom could do a cool
11 hours.
90 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're tired, you do the 11
You
hours.
just fall asleep.
And now I really want to go to this chamber. I wonder if they let people into it. Just off
I've
the
heard
street.
people going down into a mining shaft, and they briefly turn off the lights, and they have to go through this long. It's okay, you're not falling. Touch the wall or touch the rail. So but people can't physically be in that dark for that long. They feel disoriented, and so they can't go for more than 10 seconds before someone starts to scream. Apparently, it's so dark you can feel it on your skin. Apparently, so,
wow, that needs to be in one of your stories.
Yes,
Yeah, that got really
hush. It's even hushier.
Do you have any more questions for the quiz?
Question number 4.
Mm.
Murmur or mutter? Which is quieter and why?
Murmur. I don't know. I'm going to go with. Are you saying mutter with D's or with T's?
No, with T's. Mutter.
Okay. Yeah, because mutter is quieter than mutter, I think. I don't know. I'm going to go with. I think the correct answer is murmur. Again, to use your lips on that makes it far more silent than having to form the. Is that a dental? What is that?
Yes. Yeah, that hard T sound.
So T's, it's more explosive a sound. So murmur.
I think you're correct on that one. All right, last one. Question 4. Actually, it's question 5, but I wrote 4 twice. This quiz. All right. This one's very important. Last question. Okay, so space. The outer space. Space is silent because space is a vacuum. And sound waves need air to travel through because the vibration of the molecules is what allows for the sound to travel. So question. If we here at Withywindle Labs, we're working on a machine to just send more molecules into space, so we can play our jams up there. Would you invest, and how much can we put you down for?
I mean, no, because it's not outer space; it's the deep heavens, and it's full of El Dilla, as C.S. Lewis told us. So you can't be pumping our pop tunes up there. That would obscure the music of the sphere. So
okay.
Not only would I not contribute, I would actively try to undermine the program.
Okay,
yeah, Graham, what a bad idea.
We're definitely not doing it. But let's say we finally get enough molecules. I'm thinking, I don't know how many it would take for sound to be in space. Maybe 20?
20 molecules? Yeah.
Something like that. And we and like as an inevitability, somebody put a boombox in space. What would we play in space first? What should we play in space first? It sounds like you're saying silence.
Well, I don't know. Part of me wants to play the movie Alien so that we can finally hear someone scream in space, right? That would be that'd be great.
So the first thing we play from Earth out of our boombox is screams.
No, that's a terrible answer. I shouldn't say that.
But the aliens have already heard the screams, so
nobody can hear you scream. Isn't that's the tagline for Alien? So
that's right.
Nobody can hear you scream in space. Yeah.
Well, Remy, that wraps up the Hush Hush quiz. I think you aced it, but we will send it off for evaluation. So in 4 to 6 weeks, we'll get like the Scantron back, and we'll
let me know if you get the funding for that, so I can actively sabotage.
All right, we will. I mean, we won't.
And now we're on to that part of the show where we stop giving away our ideas to people who are going to sabotage them, and we do a word of the week instead.
Ooh.
So, Graham, as you know, during our break between season 2 and 3, I curated the official Withywindle Word of the Week dictionary.
It was a nice looking book too, handsome.
And subsequently, the bookstore troll, our old nemesis, he stole the dictionary from the shelf. I foolishly thought that a shelf in a bookstore would be the place for a book, but he insists otherwise, and he has taken the book, the dictionary. So which of us is going down into the lair to ask for a word this week?
I think it should be you. I mean, last time went okay. I think you'll be fine.
Okay, how about we do this? Remy, you pick a number between 1 and 100, and whoever gets closest gets to choose whether they go or whether the other person goes.
I got the number.
You got the number?
Yes, sir.
Graham, you go first.
I kind of resent that I make a suggestion and you leave it up to chance, but I will go first. It will be 37.
73.
I always, I shouldn't give away this, but I always go with the number 7. No matter if it's 1 through 10 or 1 through 100, it's 7. So
Graham,
it's not actually random if you ask me. It's always the same.
All right. Well, Graham says, I mean, I'm going.
Okay, so the listeners can't hear, but David is wearing a 3-piece suit, and I don't want it to get any slime on it. So I will I will take this one for the team
Oh.
and go confront the troll.
True friendship here on the podcast.
All right. I'll be right back.
All right.
I was wondering why Graham was wearing his swimsuit, so that makes sense now.
Whew, okay, David.
You're back. You're okay.
I'm back. I don't have the word yet. Once again, he needs something in order for me to get that word. And he wants
insisting upon himself at this point.
He wants somebody, and it seemed like me, to do an oil painting of himself to put into his lair.
Okay, hold on.
So I've got to go.
You need to do an
buy
oil painting
supplies.
of yourself, or he wants an oil painting of himself?
Of himself. He wants a picture of himself for the wall. I don't know why. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but so I got to go buy supplies. I got to go and then got to do this painting. It'll probably take me 4 to 5 hours. Just hold tight. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. I'm back. Sorry that took, what did I say? 5 hours? It looks like it's actually been 6. Sorry about that. But he did give me the word. So thanks for your patience.
Yeah, well, I thought it was a little weird that he wanted you to do a painting because you're the world's slowest painter, it turns out. But anyway, okay, so the word of the week. Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay. All right. Are you guys ready to write the word of the week down? So did he let you choose the word of the week, Graham, or did he just hand you this slip of paper that was folded up and he had chosen the word of the week?
No, he ripped out that piece of paper and threw it at me. I did not have to choose.
Okay, so that explains the level of crumpling. Okay, so here is this week's word of the week, courtesy of the Bookstore Troll. It is pettifogger. 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 We are now going to take a couple of minutes to write them what we think the definition to this word is. We'll be back to reveal our answers, which will obviously be correct.
Yep, and I'm going to get up and pace for a minute while I think of it.
Graham, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, we're back. We are back to reveal what we think pettifogger means, as is our custom here on Withywindle. Graham will go first, and then I will go, and then our special guest will go after that. And once all three of us have revealed what we think the definition is, we will reveal what the actual definition is and see who was closest to the real thing. Graham, what does pettifogger mean?
Okay, so pettifogger is a noun, and it's a device. The pettifogger is what you use. Well, let me describe it a little bit. It looks kind of like a watering can, but it's a little more mechanical, and it shoots out like a fine mist, right? Or a fog. But you use it to get trolls out of like clothing stores. It's very specific. So I wish there was one for like bookstores.
Yeah, I was going to say.
This is, it's just the clothing store troll repellent, really.
And now that you mentioned it, if there are bookstore trolls, it does make sense that there would be a haberdashery troll.
Mm-hmm, exactly. I would not advise trying a pettifogger on a bookstore troll. We tried that once. It does not repel them. It enrages them.
Well, also books don't do great with fog.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that's an interesting definition. I think it's wrong. I think you might have gotten the name of something else mixed up with a person whose whole existence is tied to being mean to his little sister, especially on days when she's feeling the most upset about the way her hair looks.
Oh.
But nobody who's listening here to this podcast would ever be a pettifogger.
It's very petty.
Yeah, those are both insane and incorrect. Pettifogger is the inner button of a Victorian vest that a gentleman would wear.
That's where I've heard this.
The inner button
inner button of a Victorian gentleman's vest.
So is that the button that you use to replace the other button when it pops off because you've had too much roast?
It's
or
the
is
vestigial button,
okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The modern term.
Okay.
Vestigial.
That's a word we should probably do sometime. Okay.
But if the vest has an internal inside pocket and it has a button, that's not a pettifogger, right?
No,
of course
by
not.
definition.
Of course
This
not.
is not.
Okay, are you ready to find out what the real definition is?
Let's hear it.
Okay, so a petty, this is appropriate. A pettifogger is a person who tries to befuddle others with his speech. That's a pettifogger. Person who tries to befuddle others with his speech.
That's really disappointing, to be honest. I think we all outdid reality. All three of us outdid it.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how often.
How often we get accused of that?
Well, we've got a couple questions here before we let you go. Graham, which one do you want to ask? You get to choose one of the two final questions.
Oh, man. Okay, perfect. I want to ask Remy Wilkins what he is working on now, if he's at liberty to tell us.
I am. This is heavily self-promotional, but I've working on a young adult fantasy epic. It's currently on Amazon's Kindle Vella format. It's a fantasy, magical fantasy. A boy who is a young potioneer is saving. There's a plot to destroy magic, and he is learning how to. He's saving this process. Wands have entered the world, and it's cheap magic, and it's draining the substance of the world, and so he's trying to restore the more ancient magic, which is craft and art, and it's currently on Amazon's Kindle Vella. I'm working on the print version and the sequel as well. So. It's called. I should give.
Yeah, I was
going
to say you need to tell us what we're looking for here.
The Magical Quest of Olo Newt is
the Magical Quest of Olo Newt.
The Magical Quest of Olo Newt.
That sounds great.
Fantastic.
It's super fun. It's one of the ideas that has just been bouncing around in a long time, and Amazon has this. It's a serial format where you just buy coins and you unlock it as you go. It's a pleasant reading experience if you like reading on a screen, but I know that's not for everyone. So I'm also putting together the manuscript currently. So,
well, that's awesome. Okay, so before we let you go, we need to just ask you: do you have any advice for young authors? We've got a lot of kids who are listening who want to be writers or already are writers, and what piece of advice would you give to them as they pursue that?
Oh man, I have an array of things that I usually say, but the one that I think will, for those that are serious about it, find one of your favorite books or your favorite book, your favorite story, read through it, and after each chapter, kind of write a brief summary: who was there, what they did, but then also note what questions you have. Right? What does this person want? Why did this person say this? Why did they do that? You don't have to answer it. A big part of following a story is carrying those sort of questions. And if you do that after every chapter, which is, again, how you read a book, you should be attending to the details. What are the characters doing, thinking, saying? Has there been anything repeated? That's often how a writer will signal significance, is a pattern or a word or something will crop up again and again over the course of the novel. And you just take notes at the end of each chapter. It doesn't have to be long or full, but just a quick, this is who it was, this is what happened. Here's some questions that are raised by the characters or that I have. Here's some repetitions that I think are significant. And if you do that through a whole book, you will have blueprints for how a writer is going to, or how a writer approached that story and injected it with interest and mystery and excitement, and that process, which will weed out a lot of people that just aren't interested in the craft of telling a story. But if you can get through that, not only will that demonstrate your willingness to do the work to become an excellent writer, but also you'll have learned tons on how to tell a story just by doing that. And I think it's fun to do that, to read a book and break it down.
All right, last thing before we go. Got some great advice. But now it's time for what we call a challenge. Graham, you want to?
Yeah, this is a challenge, not a quiz.
Right.
So Remy, we like to end each episode by inviting our guests to challenge somebody else.
Really, it's
to
insisting.
come on to this. It's not to challenge somebody else to come on this podcast and spend this quality time with us and endure the gauntlet that is the Withywindle podcast. Do you have anybody in mind that you would like to invite on?
And then please tell us whether they are a friend or an enemy so we can find out how you felt about this conversation.
Oh, man. The author of Brave Ollie Possum, Ethan Nicole, would be a great interview.
That's a great idea. I have not actually read that book, but we do carry it in our store, and I've heard great things, and it's like on my short list of kids' books to read to my kids. So, Graham, have you read that one?
I have not, but I own it, and it is on our to-be-read list. So now it's going to move up.
Well, Remy, thank you so much for coming on Withywindle. This has been a great time. Hope everybody that's listening, if they haven't read your books yet, check out Strays, check out Hush Hush, and if you're too scared, then blame Remy. Remy, thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun.
And we're back.
That was a very anti-Rantapole conversation.
I think so. Might have to send it into Certify Rantapole to see. Give it the old
to find out for
100-point inspection.
Yeah, we'll find out in 7 to 12 months.
Very expensive.
So we are here at the final segment of the podcast, Graham, which is Riddle time.
You're mixing it up.
Yeah. Just
every time you mix it up, it's creepier and creepier.
Riddle time. Riddle time.
There we go.
Just bland.
So last week, we gave you a riddle. There was a boy named Morton. Mm-hmm. And
Morton.
He almost deserved that name. Went out into the woods with his hammer and nail, as one 6-year-old boy does. Found a tree, put the nail above his head, turned around, turned around, and hammered the nail into the tree to see how tall he was.
Yes.
Went back, laid down like Rip Van Winkle, woke up 10 years later. No, I'm sure he was off having other adventures with nails and screws. Maybe added in like a rake. So
he's a carpenter, is what you're saying.
He comes back, with the carpenter in his rake.
He's a carpenter that likes to garden. I don't know, man. Sometimes you got to rake the leaves to get to the tree that you're cutting. I don't know.
And he decided to go back out into those same woods, brought another hammer and nail. Did he bring another hammer and nail? No, it doesn't matter. He went out into the woods. He found the same tree that 10 years earlier he had used the nail. He drove that nail in to check his height. And we asked how much higher that nail would be if the tree grew 5 centimeters per year.
Yeah, okay.
Well, it's not a math riddle. The math does not matter. The answer is that the nail would be at the same height because trees grow wide. They get wider and they do get taller, but they grow from the tops. They don't just keep on growing. That nail is not riding up over the years, So that is the answer to this week's riddle. You're going to ask me if people got it right. They did.
They did?
Lots of right answers. I was very impressed. I thought this was a tricky one.
So then those right answers are getting entered into our pot of right answers, and at the end of the season, we're going to draw a name to win a book bundle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So if people want to answer this week's riddle, Graham, I think I know what it is.
Go for it. 3 for 3. Ready?
It is riddle, piddle, fiddle at goldberrybooks.com.
So close. Like you were so close. You got the goldberrybooks.com part right. Half. 1/2 point to you. They would write us in at podcasts.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At goldberrybooks.com.
Yeah, that's right. That does make more sense than riddle, piddle, fiddle.
They can send us a pigeon, fix an answer to a pigeon, and write Goldberry Books on the pigeon's underwing and send it off. And I'm sure we'll see. We haven't seen. No. Our first season, we did see 3 pigeons.
We did have 3 pigeons.
We got 3 pigeons in.
But my thinking is, it just takes pigeons a while to fly.
Just takes them a long time.
And most of our people are probably sending from Alaska. So it just takes.
We have a lot. We play very well in Alaska.
Yeah, right. Well, you know what? Before we go this week, I've got to share with you a new riddle.
Can't wait.
So that people can send them via those pigeons.
Email or pigeon.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to tell you a story. we've got a little girl. Her name...
Morton.
Her name is Shirley. Her name is Shirley.
Shirley, okay.
Shirley.
Yeah.
And she is very excited. Do you know why she's very excited?
Surely she is.
Because she is going to get to go to Disney World.
Oh.
In 48 hours. In 2 days.
Say 48 years.
She's 48 years. When she's 58, she's going to go to Disney World.
Okay.
No, in 48 hours, she's going to get to go to Disney World.
Not Disneyland.
Well, no, she lives in Florida, so.
Okay. Well, some people like to fly.
No, she lives like around the corner. But because she lives in Florida, it's raining.
Oh, it does that.
And she is very excited, but she doesn't want the rain to ruin her experience at Disney World.
Oh, I bet that company that sponsors us might have products for this.
Probably. So she's up late. It's midnight. She's so excited. I don't approve of this, but she's up late at midnight, and she's so excited. And she's getting nervous because it's raining. There's a thunderstorm, and she's thinking, please don't let this happen when I'm at Disney World in 2 days. Don't ruin my trip to Disney World, Mr. Rain Man. So she looks at the forecast. The forecast for tomorrow and the next day is clear.
Okay.
But
This is good news.
will there be sunny weather in 48 hours?
This is, I mean, it seems obvious, but you're saying it's a riddle, so it must be more than meets the eye.
So that's the question. Will there be sunny weather in 48 hours?
Okay.
She wants to go to Disney World, but she doesn't want it to rain on her, and she wants to know if in 48 hours it's going to be sunny weather.
And the weatherman seems to indicate that it will be. Okay, I like this.
Yeah.
This is tricky.
All right, if you think you know the answer, fiddle, riddle, piddle. Sorry.
No.
Podcast at goldberrybooks.com. Well, Graham, this has been fun. We've come to the end of another episode of Withywindle. 3rd episode of season 3. We're marching right along through season 3. We've got great guests coming up next week. Thanks so much to our guests so far on this season. KD Camillo in episode 1, Tim Probert in episode 2, and Remy Wilkins here in episode 3. Hope you'll tune in for episode 4 of season 3. And in the meantime, if you would like to get in touch with us, as we've been saying the whole episode, it's podcasts at goldberrybooks.com. We would certainly appreciate it also if you would tell your friends, spread the word, and leave us a review on whatever podcast app you get podcasts from, unless you're going to leave us a mean review.
Kids, if you've listened this far into this show,
It's true.
you either like it or your sibling has tied you up and made you listen to it, as we said on one of the first episodes.
Hey, sibling, if you tie them up, just make them review it.
Oh, good call. Yeah, so if you would leave us a review, it helps us get the word out. We think you guys are amazing. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks for all your feedback.
Goodbye.
And go to bed. That's for my kids. Oh, also, happy reading. Welcome back to